I woke up to find my own wedding picture torn and half my face scratched out. At first, I thought it was some kind of sick joke. Maybe one of those late-night prank shows, or a nightmare I hadn't shaken off. But the cold silence in the apartment, the missing ring on my finger, and the fact that every single one of her things was gone told me otherwise. She left, without a note, without a goodbye, after 3 years of marriage. My phone was dead. Not that anyone had called. No missed texts. No warnings. Just silence. But the worst part? That morning before I saw the photo, I was going to tell her we were finally expecting. The doctor called me yesterday. I hadn't told her yet. I wanted to surprise her. Instead, I stood in our empty apartment, holding a crumpled ultrasound photo in one hand and a divorce petition, unsigned, in the other. She had printed it, left it on the kitchen counter. Neatly, like it was a grocery list. I sat down on the cold floor, heart racing, trying to make sense of it all. My mind ran in circles. Was it something I said? Did she find someone else? Was the baby not even mine? A knock jolted me from my thoughts. I rushed to the door, a flicker of hope igniting in my chest. Maybe she came back. Maybe this was all some misunderstanding. But when I opened it, it wasn't her. It was a stranger in a black suit. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "You don't know who you married, do you?" It started with a trip she never told me about. 2 weeks before she disappeared, Meher said she was going to Delhi for a client event, a weekend retreat strictly professional. She packed light, wore her usual no-nonsense expression, and even left me a sticky note on the fridge that read, "Don't forget to water the cactus. It's as stubborn as you." She texted me when she landed. Sent me a photo of her hotel room, a neatly made bed, complimentary mints on the pillow. Everything checked out, except I found the photo again later. And I noticed something that hadn't registered at first. There were 2 suitcases in the room, and one of them wasn't hers. I stared at it for hours, zooming in, heart pounding. It was black, slightly scuffed, with a red luggage tag. I knew that tag. It belonged to a man she once told me she hated. Kabir, her ex. The one who broke her heart beyond repair. The one she swore she would never speak to again. I didn't confront her right away. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe she was sharing a room with a colleague. Maybe it was nothing. But I stopped sleeping. The second night she was gone, I opened her laptop. I knew her password, she never changed it. Her desktop was clean. Too clean. Except for one hidden folder labeled with a date, 04.03.24. That was the day we had our biggest fight. I clicked it open. There were voice memos. Journal entries. One of them was titled, "I don't think I love him anymore." My throat closed. I couldn't press play. I just sat there, my fingers shaking, my chest caving in. When Meher came back, she kissed my cheek like nothing had happened, made coffee, laughed at a meme, slipped right back into her life like the missing piece of a puzzle. But she didn't mention Delhi. Not once. I told her, casually, "I saw your hotel photo. Nice room. Did they give you 2 beds?" She blinked, just for a second, and smiled. "Yeah," she said. Weird, right? That night, she turned her phone face down before bed. She hadn't done that in years. And then, the dream started. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, convinced I heard her whispering someone's name. I couldn't eat, couldn't work. Something inside me had cracked, and no matter how much I smiled or played along, I couldn't unsee that suitcase. That folder. That title. I don't think I love him anymore. Still, I didn't confront her. Because deep down I was terrified of her answer. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. The next Thursday, she said she was working late. Client dinner. Important. I waited an hour, then grabbed my keys. And what I saw that night was the beginning of the end. That night, I followed her cab from a safe distance, my heart thudding like a war drum. I kept hoping it would stop at a client's office, or maybe a restaurant packed with colleagues in suits, laughing over wine and deadlines. Instead, it stopped at a quiet residential building. Lights dim, No sign of a corporate dinner. She stepped out, checked her reflection in the window, fixed her hair. Then, she rang the bell. A man opened the door. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I didn't need to. The way her body softened in front of him, shoulders relaxed, smile blooming, eyes glowing was enough. That wasn't the expression you gave a client. That was something else. She walked in. He closed the door behind her, and I just stood there. I don't know how long I stayed. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. The world around me faded. The buzzing traffic, the distant barking, even the cold wind biting through my jacket tie felt none of it. All I could hear was her voice in my head. "You're the only risk I've ever taken." What a joke. When I got home, I sat in the dark. The apartment smelled like her perfumed jasmine and something citrusy. I hated how much I noticed it, how much I missed it even while it was still lingering. I kept whispering to myself, there has to be a reason. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe but what kind of misunderstanding makes you walk into another man's home at night and never text your husband back? I wanted to call her, confront her, scream, demand an answer. But I didn't. Instead, I opened that voice memo on her laptop. The one titled, "I don't think I love him anymore." Her voice came through the speakers. Soft, shaky. I don't know when it started, maybe after the third fight about money. Or maybe after I saw the way Kabir looked at me that day in the coffee shop. Like he still knew me. Like he still loved me. And Aarav, he tries. God. He tries so hard. But sometimes love starts to feel like a cage when you're not sure you want to stay inside it. I paused it. Couldn't breathe. Was I a cage to her? All these years of loving her, trusting her, thinking I was her safe place and she felt trapped? I scrolled down the folder. Dozens more recordings. Notes. Drafts of letters she never sent. In one, she said she was planning to leave in December. Another said she wanted to disappear without saying goodbye. Clean break, she wrote. What hurt more than the betrayal was how long she had planned it. Months. Maybe even a year. I started noticing everything after that. The missing spark in her eyes. The careful silences. The fake laughter. Like she was already gone, and I was just too blind to see it. The next time we had dinner together, I couldn't even taste the food. She talked about work, politics, some client who cried in a meeting. I just stared at her mouth. How could she talk like nothing happened? How could she lie so smoothly? She noticed I was quiet. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Just tired." She smiled, reached over, and touched my hand. "You're always tired, Aarav. You work too hard." And in that moment, I realized something that broke me more than anything else had. She still cared. Not enough to stay loyal. Not enough to be honest. But enough to pretend. Pretend like we were fine. Pretend like she still loved me. Pretend like I wasn't already bleeding inside. That night, I watched her sleep. She looked peaceful. Unbothered. Like someone who had already mourned this relationship a long time ago. I lay awake, a question tearing me apart. Should I confront her? Or should I let her keep lying just so I wouldn't have to hear the truth out loud? Because deep down, I already knew. She was in love. Just not with me anymore. I thought it couldn't get worse. I thought I'd already hit the bottom, the cheating, the lies, the voice memos. But the universe had one more truth to gut me with. It happened on a Sunday. Meher was in the shower. Her phone buzzed twice once, then again, with a soft ping I'd learned to hate. A tone she only used for one person. I told myself not to look. That I'd already violated her privacy enough. But my hands moved on their own. I picked it up. 2 notifications. One from an unknown number, the other from a contact saved as workshop. Missed you already. Hope you're resting that pretty mouth of yours today. Winking face, my stomach twisted. I tapped the number. My thumb hovered over the message icon. But I didn't get a chance. A new message appeared, right then and there. I have the results. It's not his. I blinked. What? What results? I opened the message thread. My breath caught in my throat. It was a conversation that spanned weeks. Photos, clinic addresses, appointment reminders. And then, buried between emojis and casual flirting, a sentence that froze my entire body. Once I'm sure, I'll tell him. He's too nice to hurt, but I can't keep lying forever. That's when I knew. It wasn't just an affair. It was a pregnancy, and it wasn't mine. The pain came like a wave, full force. Crashing. Drowning. All those nights she curled into me, told me she was just tired, told me she didn't want kids yet. All those times I thought maybe I was the problem, that I wasn't trying hard enough to be the man she deserved. Turns out she was building a new life while sleeping next to me in the old one. I dropped the phone. She stepped out of the shower moments later, towel wrapped around her head, humming. "I'm thinking pancakes today," she said casually. "Or French toast. What do you—" She stopped when she saw my face. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. She glanced at the phone on the floor. Her face changed just for a split second, but I caught it. That flicker of panic before she masked it with calm. "Aarav?" Her voice was cautious. "What did you see?" I laughed. It was a broken, guttural sound. One I didn't recognize as my own. I saw everything meet her. She didn't deny it. Didn't cry. Didn't run. She just sat down, looked at her hands, and whispered, "I didn't want it to happen this way." I stared at her. This woman I had loved more than anything. Given everything to. Trusted blindly. "You were pregnant?" I asked. My voice cracked. "You're still pregnant?" She nodded, almost ashamed. "It's his?" I asked again, even though I already knew. Her silence was my answer. And just like that, everything inside me collapsed. The betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It was physical, biological, irreversible. She wasn't just leaving me. She had already replaced me. "You replaced me," I whispered. It wasn't a question. It was the truth raw, ugly, irreversible. Meher sat there on the edge of the bed, dripping water onto the floor. And for once, she didn't try to lie. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she said quietly. I laughed, bitter. "That's the line, huh? I didn't mean to. Like you just slipped and fell into another man's bed, then oops got pregnant." Her eyes filled with tears. "You think this is easy for me? I've been carrying this guilt for months." I stepped back, my voice rising. "You've been carrying guilt? I've been carrying love, hope, plans for a future that you were secretly burning down behind my back." She stood suddenly. "Aarav, I didn't plan any of this. You planned enough." I shouted. "The voice memos, the texts, the appointments. You knew. You knew exactly what you were doing." Her lower lip trembled. I was scared. "I didn't know how to leave without destroying you. So you stayed," I said. "You smiled, kissed me, slept next to me, all while counting down the days until you could walk away with his baby. I didn't want to hurt you." "You didn't want to hurt me?" I repeated. "Meher, you killed me." The silence after that was deafening. We still dared two people who used to be everything to each other, now just ashes of who we were. Then she said the one thing I didn't expect. "I didn't come home that night because I was going to tell him I chose you." I blinked. "What?" She looked at me, tears running down her cheeks. "That night you followed me, I didn't sleep with him. I was going to end it. I was going to tell him I couldn't go through with it, that I wanted to stay with you, that the baby would grow up knowing you as the father." My head spun. She stepped closer. "But then I saw you that morning, the way you looked at me. Like you didn't trust me anymore, like I was already gone, and I realized it was too late. I had already ruined it." I stepped back again. My heart was breaking all over. "You don't get to rewrite this," I said, my voice trembling. "You don't get to say you chose me after you already destroyed everything." She sobbed. "I was lost, Aarav. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't think you'd still want me after everything. You didn't even give me the chance. And then I said the words I never thought I'd say. I would have forgiven you. She froze. If you had come to me, if you had been honest before it got this far, I would have fought for us. Her knees buckled, and she sat on the bed, burying her face in her hands. But now? I whispered. Now I don't even recognize you. I picked up her phone, handed it to her. You can go back to him. Or not. I don't care anymore. She looked up, broken. And the baby? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I wish I could say I'd be part of its life. I wish I was that big of a man. But I'm not. I turned to leave. She called after me once. I didn't stop. Because some betrayals don't just break your heart. They burn your soul. I walked out the door, the cool air hitting my face like a slap sharp, unforgiving. Behind me, the sound of Meher's sobs faded into the quiet apartment. For a moment I stood on the threshold, the weight of everything crashing down, years of love, trust, and dreams, all crumbling into dust. But then, something inside me stirred. A faint spark, not of anger, but of clarity. I realized that sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. And sometimes, the hardest thing to do is let go. The weeks that followed were the darkest I've ever known. Every corner of that apartment screamed her name. Every song on the radio reminded me of moments we'd shared. Every text from friends asked if I was okay, and every time, I lied and said, I'm fine. But I wasn't. I was broken, betrayed, lost. And yet, in that brokenness, I found something unexpected. Freedom. Without the lies, without the shadows of what could have been, I could finally breathe again. I started small. Morning runs. Cold showers. I deleted her number. Blocked the texts. Removed the photos. And slowly, very slowly, I rebuilt myself. I went back to my work with new fire. Friends noticed the change, how I stood taller, smiled less, but meant it more. The ache in my chest didn't disappear, but it grew quieter. Months later, I found a letter tucked into a book she left behind. It was addressed to me. She wrote about regret, about the pain she caused, and how she hoped I'd find peace even if it wasn't with her. I folded the letter carefully. I didn't reply. Because some wounds aren't meant to be healed by words. They're meant to teach us how to protect ourselves. Today, I live alone. But I'm not lonely. I'm learning to love myself again. And that, maybe, is the real beginning. Sometimes, the end of one story is the start of another. One where you are the hero of your own life and not the victim. So here I am. Broken, yes. Hurt, definitely. But alive. And ready.